Hello, all. It's always a pleasure to talk about the city we love, Madras, which I would like to call it Madras in spite of the name change. So, when we are talking about Madras, we always think about the different buildings which are around us. Every street where we go, or every road we travel, when we go on the bus, when we go on the train, there are many buildings, small, big, in different sizes, different patterns which we cross. And there are so many historians and researchers who have put their heart and soul into documenting this legacy, and a lot of architects too has documented this legacy of the city's architecture in through their works. One of my favorite documentation work is the Madras, the Architectural Heritage by Kalpana. So that particular book was an interesting start for me to look at the city in a different way, and to know that every street we have a story and every corner has a legacy. So talking, well, reading those books, all the things which we are like, okay, where can I spot this building? Where can I see this building? And coming back to where I live, I am from Shenoy Nagar, which is in the west part of Madras. So I was trying to search, where does my part of the city fit in? Where does my West Madras, or where does my Amtikarai, or the place we go for market, or where does Shenoy Nagar fit in, was always a question. And that was one of the starting points of documenting how the post independence and developments started, and how do we look at those buildings is something we started documenting. So talking about west part of Madras, Madras is a huge part of the city, but we are going to look at few niches. One is Amjikarai, one is Annanagar, one is Chennai Nagar. So going back a little further, during the even the 20s, it was a part of three villages: Naduvakarai, Amjikarai, and Periyakodal, which had Kuam flowing in one side of it. It was called the Amindakarai because it was a bank formed by itself, is one story. The other story is because people there did voluntary service in desilting the river Kuam, which is Amanji Bay, like, is something which I learned only because they were like, why are you calling it Amjikare? Calling it Amindakare, call it Amjikare, is what one of the senior most citizen I found there told me. And then Naduvakarai, the place which is between the Kuam Karai and Amjikarai, and Periyakodil, a congregation space. So these were three tiny villages, or three small villages which were in the west part of Madras. And we didn't have the Punamalli High Road, which we have one, the prominent road which is there, which is running, connecting the different part of the city. This was one chunk of the city which was always there, and they had residences, they had temples, and also they had a Shivan temple and also a Vishnu temple, for which the local residents always loved to call it Chinnakantapuram because they were facing each other. And from one Gopuram, you can see the other Gopuram through the Shivan temple Gopuram. So to talk about all this, we collected these as stories from people. So why am I talking about this local history when the plan is to talk actually about post-independent settlement? I know all of you will be wondering about that. So keeping this context in mind, when the city was growing, when a lot of people started to move into our city of Madras, there need to be a lot of housing. And generally there is a stereotyping, right? Oh, housing board house. Oh, you stay in a housing board house. And I think even in movies and few pop culture references, you would see that, oh, she stays in only a housing board house. What is that housing board house? And also CIT, City Improvement Trust, which we call CIT Nagar houses, and Ashok Nagar, Besan Nagar, lot of these, KK Nagar, JJ Nagar, JJ Colony, all these, I mean, I'm giving very few examples. How do they came about? These are all places, or these are all they designed after independence, like after our independence. These are places which were designed for our growing city. So there are so many numbers, there are so many names, there are so many senior people who have contributed to it, and many names. But let's look at how these places kind of developed and how they changed in character. So in the early 1940s, there were so many different things happening pan India. And when you look at the West Madras part, there was a small village called the Mullam Gramam or the Mullam village near Nadavakarai, where there were not many houses. There were probably two houses. And people from other part of Madras who wanted a serene, silent uh, house, like from here we go and built our houses in ECR and OMR, right, for the beach and serene and silent. So people from Mount Road and other busy parts of Madras came here and built their houses. So such was this small pocket of land, Mullam Gramam and Nadavakarai, and they were these houses. And later, when the city was growing and the government wanted a chunk of land to develop, this was one chosen spot. Parallelly, in the central government, there was a proposal to have the India International Trade Fair, IITF Fair. And while they were doing it, that was happening and the city proposal were happening. So they combined both. So when they made the West Madras neighborhood plan, it is not still called Annanagar. The West Madras neighborhood plan came into picture where they had but they followed the international naming system. That's why you have A block, AB block, Y block, Z block, avenues, roads, and all that. So they had all these, and they had a designated place for the 1968 fair also. So which a lot of people confuse with the Ulaga Tamil Manadu, which happened a little later. So this happened first, the India International Trade Fair of 1968, which a lot of people or seniors refer to as the Madras Fair, which happened in the late 1960s. So this happened, but still people were not ready to move in. They were like, this place is little deserted, it's very dark. But during the fair, there was so much lighting, and the tower, which they made it as an overlooking tower, caught all the attention. And talking about the fair by itself will be a story for another day, because they had more than 65 different exhibits, which you can see beautifully in the movie Galata Kalyanam. In one of the songs, you can see the entire fair which was there, and those were all not temporary structures. They were made of concrete. They were very firm structures. They were permanent structures. So later they also said, okay, let's auction these buildings so that other people can rent it and use it. The Annanagar Women's Club was functioning from the Thailand Pavilion. The Kerala Pavilion is still used as the Annanagar Club, which is right next to the Annanagar Tower, to give a context to it. So there are very few things from the fair which are still remaining. There is an arch opposite to the Kandasamy, like when you go from the Roundtana to Kandasamy College. If the right is Kandasamy College ground, left you can see the parabolic arch, which was one of the part of the 1968 fair, and towards your left you can see the mural, the entrance mural, which was designed for the 1968 fair. So why are we talking about this fair? Is it necessary for post-independent development? Yes, this is very, very important when we talk about the post-independent development of Madras, because this is a place where people hesitated to move in. They said, how can we move in a place? So they started getting plots near the tower itself. It was still not called the Vishveshwaraya Tower or the Anand Tower. It was still called the Panchsheel Tower, which is a first name. The initial name given was the Panchsheel Tower. So they gave the name. So people said, okay, give me a plot near the Panchsheel Tower so that I at least can give a landmark to it. And talking about this landmark, so other places were there. And so they started giving subsidies. They started giving subsidies. For example, the government pays a certain amount, and then we can pay it in parts, and it's more like an offer. And the proposal paper or the offer paper was sent to a lot of government officials and throughout India. That's why you see a mix of different kinds of IAS officers, IPS officers, and government officials who are senior citizens. And they didn't move here as senior officials. They moved in here as people who dreamt of having homes, people who dreamt of having a house in a city called Madras, which is far, far away, which took care of their dream of owning a house. And they started moving in little by little, but still there was hesitancy. So they said, okay, let's build the house also. So let's build the houses. And when they started building the houses, to go a little back, while planning itself, they gave broader roads. They gave broader roads. And one of the residential road, which was supposed to be the most quiet and most silent one. The Fourth Avenue was called the Shanti Colony, which is now the most busiest and the most loud in Ananaga, the Shanti Colony Road, which is completely commercialized now. So this was happening, and then people started moving. Even till 1980s and 1990s, there were still residences. You can see majorly residential, but then later commercialization and then urbanization took over. A lot of these old houses were changed into commercial establishment. But still, if you note from other parts of the city, Ananagar still balances the parking problems for the shops and all that. That's because of the broader roads which were given. So Ananagar is one of the most important. So again, it was not called Ananagar then. It was first called the West Madras Neighborhood Plan. Then it was called the Aringar Ananagar after him. And then later it was called AA Nagar, which not many of them like. Like KK Nagar stayed, JJ Nagar stayed, but AA Nagar was not something people didn't like. So it got a short form called the Anna Nagar. So the Anna Nagar, which we think is very modern, a more modern place, has legacy very closely associated with how we built for ourselves after independence. So Shenoy Nagar, which is a part of the Amjikare and Naduvakare, which we spoke earlier, was designed before Ananagar, but it didn't have a square planning. It had a radial planning. Again, a place which people experimented with having individual houses, individual plots. It was planned around a park. Trivika Park by itself, which itself became a folklore now because there is no park now. There is the metro station now. So when we look at post-independence settlements, we generally think about, oh, it happened. It is very recent. We have so much history to see before that, but it is important to look at these settlements, especially in our communities, in which are around us, and not stereotype them as like, oh, it's just a housing board house. They also have a story behind them. In the same way, Besanagar has a story, KK Nagar has a story, CIT Nagar has a story. So, talking about all this, between Ananagar and Shenoy Nagar, even now, 17 of the old houses, which are more than 175 years from Amjikarai, are still existing. And then there are these lanes, but not lanes like roads. Like you have when you travel in Pundamali High Road, next time please look at your left hand side, like the side in which the Ampere Skywalk is there now, which was earlier the Arun Hotel. To give a small bite about it, the hotel and the road was developed for the fair for people to commute from the other part of the city. And few of the international guests stayed at not the Ampere Skywalk, but the earlier version of it, when the building was not a mall and the earlier structure. So if you look at the left-hand side of it, you can see more than 65 lanes, different small lines, which are still functioning. They are like, if you take Ahmedabad, the gullies of Ahmedabad have an UNESCO recognition, the old city. So Amjikarai has those still functioning lanes, like there is a bakery where there is a lane and then there is another shop. That particular lane is sometimes used for parking, sometimes used for putting a colon, sometimes just used as a commuting space. It's easy to maneuver. It's like a puzzle. So next time, just go walk in and see those places. And Amjikarai gave a part of its place to Ananagar and Chennai Nagar, but still it had those flavor. And this part of the city is also right there for us in the city to explore and understand how our city evolved. So this is one example of post-independence settlements. And what is interesting to know is that the introduction of this one, the fans, right? The exhaust fans in kitchens, having a two-tier building like a house there and then a step outside and then a house again is also a very typical housing board housing pattern. And then also understanding that it fulfilled the dream of lot of people having houses. It fulfilled a lot of, so these policies by the government played a major role in making that dream of owning a house possible for a lot of people. So as much as we record architecture, as much as we record the legacy of it, while tracing these post-independence settlements, it was interesting to note the story of people from different parts of India who have settled in this part of the city and made the city their home. For example, Mr. Handa, he gave us a huge plans of his earlier documents from Anna Nagar, and he said, "Do you know why a part in Anna Nagar is called what is that Blue Star?" And I said, "Oh, is it because of the company?" I'm talking about something which happened 8 years before. And I said, "Yeah, probably because of the company." He said, "Shh, listen to me." And then he told me my son used to go to school and the bus used to come and sometimes lorries used to come and they didn't know where to stop because this place was all deserted. And there was this Istri wala who was the only landmark and it was written in the board below star. He even had a picture of the place. And he said it was written below stars. So the person who drove the Vandi or the bus decided, okay, let this be a bus stop. So a lot of us think that it's because of uh, the company Blue Star, but it was someone who was inspired by the company's name and had a name for the laundry shop there. And this is one thing. And then the Chintamani market was one of the first supermarkets in Ananagar, or if you take Shahai Nagar also. Earlier to that, people used to come to Amjikarai to shop, like it's a shopping hub. And then there was this but talking about Chintamani now, the block is not there now. It was demolished, I think, 6 to 7 months back, if I'm right about the number. So there are many things which was introduced by these excellent officers. In fact, if we take Chennai Nagar, it was named after a government officer, probably one of the very few places named after a government official. In fact, it was his preceding officer who named the place in memory of him, and he was the reason for many of the post-independence settlements also. So I just thought I'll give a glimpse of many things which makes uh, post-independence settlements interesting, from people to stories to sometimes folklore, and sometimes to just curious to look at those jalis, the typical housing board jalis is something which we can see every day, and not to stereotype these housing board houses because they were once fulfilling many dreams of people. And also, if we take now, a lot of these housing board houses need a lot of facilities. They need a lot of support and all that, not just in terms of aesthetics, but actual service related support too. So next time when you cross a housing board house, just have a second look of what you can learn more. So if you have more questions, you can probably message and we will definitely get back to you. I hope there was something to take back from this. Thank you so much.